And I'm definitely going to do a custom of this guy eventually in the future.
Jesus, what took you so long?
Alright, so after all this time, I finally got my Scarecrow custom done. But with that said, let's jump right into it. So starting off with his head, you can see that I painted his face canisters as a silver and also added some tan onto his mouth stitches here. And although it's not accurate to the game, I did also keep his orange eyes because I think they just look so menacing. Also, I did a little bit of a touch up onto his face to add a little bit more of the tan color to patch up all the black areas. Another thing I did was paint his vest. And honestly, I'm probably the most proud on his vest piece here. As you can see, I made the canisters a bright silver, but I did keep these areas right here to hold the canisters as a dark gunmetal because it does bring out more of the silver for the canisters. Another thing is that I also painted the gold onto the bottom trimmings here, and even the hose that are connected to all these canisters, I painted as a darker gray. As you see, I also did with this one here, but this one I decided just for differentiation, I painted it orange, and I also added this gold bearing here. One thing I really like about this figure is that there's so much detail with it, and I'm so glad that I repainted this guy because it gave me an opportunity to just go in and fill in the little details, like the little buckle pieces here, like this very thin silver that I put over it, just because that's how it would be for actual vest. Also did the zippers and the buckles onto here, and the little rivets that are on the side of the canisters here. And even I didn't notice this about the figure initially, is that there's actually wires that go across the vest. You can see here I painted this wire red, and it goes all the way to the back of the canister here, and also did for this side a blue one that's a lot darker that also goes around here. And there's even some hose pieces here that I painted silver or dry brush silver. And for this here, it's almost duct tape pieces, so I decided to paint them gray and a little bit of a gray uh, color while the silver dry brushing, and also a little bit of black onto it as well. And then for this one here, I also repainted the hose, but there's also a green wire that I painted some gold onto it as well. And also, I even painted these little pieces and screws in here. I also repainted these vials that are on his shoulder here because a couple of them were misprinted. And of course, I also have the blue wire here as well. And another thing that's a really small detail I never noticed is that there's actually some stitching inside of the vest piece here as well. So I ended up just painting that. And you can also see that for the vest, it might not show as much on camera, but I gave the figure overall more of a gray dry brushing, while I gave the vest specifically a brown dry brushing just to add a little bit of difference in color with it, as the vest is technically a separate piece from the entire suit. And of course, I also painted the stitches, and the stitches are even different as well. As you can see on the vest here, they're much more of a brighter, almost like a tan stitching, while on the rest of the body, they're like a deeper brown. And overall, I just think it makes the figure look so much better because there's so much more detail to it, especially on the arms. On the arm here, you can see that he did have a buckle that goes around his shoulder piece here, and I painted that brown and ended up painting some metal onto it as well. He also has this little arm brace here that I painted silver, and I left this hose as a black, but then I got onto his gauntlet here and I painted his needles on his hand all silver with some orange still left in there. And for the entire gauntlet, I did leave most of it black, but I did paint a good majority of it, especially the surrounding areas right here that the frame of the gauntlet as a silver with a little bit of gunmetal dry brushing and a little bit of gunmetal coloring onto pieces just to add a little bit of differentiation. And I even added some copper wires onto here as well. And I also added a little bit of gold onto these wire pieces here just to add that little bit more color to it. On the back of the figure here, I also painted the canisters. Same thing as the front, I painted these silver here, except for this one and this other one here. I painted some brighter gold onto the rims, just because I think it makes it pop out a lot more. And also painted this pad underneath the other vest piece here as a gray, just to add some more layering to it. And of course, the blue wire connects all the way to this canister. I also repainted the orange here as well on this piece, because I did repaint this hose as well with a little bit of a darker gray, as well as the gunmetal and silver. And even painted the little rivets onto this piece right here on the vest. And overall, I just think it looks so cool, especially with some of these little wire pieces here that are more copper. In the end, I honestly think that if Mcfarlane had painted more of this figure, he would have looked amazing. I still think he's an amazing figure, but having him painted would have made him look so much better because he was already really cool, and he had the sculpt and the detailing. He just needs the color. Speaking of color, another thing I did is while I left this glove piece here black, I did add some brown onto the stitch marks right here just to bring it out a little bit more. And of course, I also painted his pockets here that he had on his waist, and I think it looks so much better this way. Originally, they were all black, but I think that adding brown and the silver buttons onto it looks so cool, especially for the belt piece here too. I painted silver onto it, and just looks so much better. And you can take a look here that on his legs, I also painted him quite a bit as well. It might be a little harder to see, but I did add a little bit of a mix of a gray and also brown dry brush onto his legs for his pants. And also painted the little rope that's holding the hoses right here, which I also painted. And also painted the cloth that's wrapped around his legs here, a brighter white. And honestly, while it stands out in the figure quite a bit, I honestly like the way it looks. I just think it looks really neat. Another thing here is that he actually has his pants exposed here, or at least part of his shins exposed. So I actually decided to color this piece of exposed skin here, and I tried to match it up with much as possible to his fingers here. And I think I did a somewhat decent job. It was kind of hard to find a perfect match for it, but overall I think it looks okay. Another thing I did was that I added like some dirt onto his boots as well, with some brown dry brushing onto both of his boots. And also, of course, for his brace leg, I added a lot of silver onto it, and I just think it looks so much better than it did before. Originally, it was more of a black and had a little bit of a kind of, I guess you could argue, a gunmetal look to it, but this silver look just looks so much better to me. I even painted like some of these belt pieces here with the brown and silver just to add some layers to it, and even his knee pad right here, I painted as a brown and then added black and also the bone white, and also painted the leather straps on here, or leather straps I mean. And also this little padding area here as well, I put some like leather pads over it, while there's like silver underneath, and also the buckle here. And of course I also painted the hose that goes around his legs as well. And in the end, I just think this guy looks so good painted. He might be one of my favorite customs that I've done in so long, just because of the amount of detail that I was able to put into him. And of course, I also did the stitchings onto his skirt piece here, and also the little rope that goes around his waist. And in the end, I just think this guy looks amazing. I honestly wish that Mcfarlane had painted him before, but as is, I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to paint this guy, because it actually motivated me to look at some of my other figures and look more into details about the little things and what I could miss when I'm painting, and even what I could paint just to make it look that much better. But with that said, I've been Figuristic Productions. I hope you enjoy. I thank you for watching. And also, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.